بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. مشاهدينا الكرام، نرحب بكم مرة أخرى في لقاء مع العرب، حيث نلتقي مع حضرة أمير المؤمنين إمام الجماعة الإسلامية الأحمدية العالمية ليرد فيه على أسئلة العرب وتساؤلاتهم.
Yesterday we were talking about the experiences of this lady in Bulgaria.
Wanga, yes.
Yes, and you said that there were other instances that
Yes.
you wanted to quote.
Well, incidents which are reported from the world over are quite wide. And this lady herself has spoken of her experiences with certain other ladies, some other men who visited. But unless I speak directly to her, I'll not be sure whether they happened exactly as they are reported or there were some hidden facts, concealed facts about these things. It is tendency in humans to legendize things, to exaggerate certain parts of their experiences, though based on truth, but not entirely truth. You know, they are so decorated as well, and some parts are hidden. So we can't be satisfied with just the reports heard from a far-off place. I would like to speak on such subjects with authority only when I'm sure myself that these things happened exactly like that. But I have already told you the experience of even the non-believing people is reported, which seems to be not a psychic case but from God. And this was the point which I wanted to further clarify. When we speak of psychic experiences, they always occur to those who display this capability, and only occasionally they are dispossessed of this by certain shock or some accident, but normally they display it. But perhaps what you mentioned was somebody who is a non-believer, who is a Christian or Jew or whatever he is, but he also experiences visions from God. You cannot relate them to any human phenomenon. And that is possible. I have already explained it, because it's Allah's mercy that He shows His signs of compassion for mankind, and many a time He foretells them of things which are of importance to their lives.
لقد سألت الأخت مها وقالت أنه في الحلقة السابقة تحدثنا عن السيدة وانغا البلغارية، وقالت إذا كان حضرة أمير المؤمنين يريد زيادة أي أو إضافة أي شيء بهذا الموضوع. وقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين الأحداث من هذا القبيل عديدة في العالم، وهذه السيدة تحدثت عن تجارب كثيرة خاصة بها بالنسبة لسيدات أخرى، فدون التحقق والتحدث معها شخصيا عن حقيقة هذه الأنباء لا أستطيع إعطاء أي من الجدالات أو أن أقدم أي اقتراحات بالنسبة لهذه السيدة. فقد تكون هنالك بعض المبالغات والتي قد تكون مبنية على الحقائق ولكنها بولغت قليلا، ولا أريد أن أتحدث في أي موضوع إلا إذا تحققت من هذه الأمور. وقال حضرته أيضا أنني قد ذكرت لكم الظاهرة والحالة في حيث يتلقى فيها بعض الناس من غير المؤمنين بالله سبحانه وتعالى في تلقي رسالات منه، فإن الله سبحانه وتعالى يحاول أن يظهر لهؤلاء الناس بطرق مختلفة، وعبر هذه الرؤى يستطيعون الإيقان بوجود الله سبحانه وتعالى.
In history, I think the recorded event about a similar experience was about Joan of Arc.
Joan of Arc, yes.
Yes. She used also to hear voices, and she indicated to the king that if he would appoint her as a leader of the army, she will be able to defeat the British, which happened, of course. Yes.
You see, people are sometimes charged by God to deliver certain messages of national import as well, and also to play a role in history which otherwise will not be played by them unless fully charged by God. And such things are reported not only in the area of hearing voices, but also in the area of people having full confidence that they are to play a part of destiny, and none can destroy them until they have fulfilled their role. Like Kemal Atatürk of Turkey, he was not a religious person at all. Even his hostility towards the mullahs, the extremist, of course, not the ordinary pious people, but to the mullah, who is very rigid in his views and is one of the extremists of Mashayikh. His hostility with them was very well known because he was secular in his attitude. Yet, the historians tell us that throughout his life he was charged with the deep conviction that he is appointed by God to fulfill the role of defending the borders of Turkey and the honor of Turkey against the British. And that he did with such great success. It's not just the success of his generalship, the quality of his generalship, which was displayed. This confidence was displayed in a manner that one British historian, writing of him in his famous book Grey Wolf. The book was entitled The Grey Wolf, and that was the Kemal Atatürk. He mentions many such instances. For instance, for example, he speaks of he being surrounded, almost surrounded by the British on a rocky hill on the top of a rock, and they were hiding under the cover of caves and small rocks. When Kemal Atatürk felt that the spirit of his companions in the army and others would sink if it continued for some time without their very bold and revolutionary response. So what he did was, he just walked to the precipice, the edge of the rock, and invited them to shoot him. Dared them to shoot him, not invited, because the voice could not be carried across, but offered himself. And a barrage of bullets was fired at him. None hit him except one which grazed past his watch, the watch he was wearing. Now this filled with all the Turkish contingent who was with him at that time with a belief in such supernatural power which was possessed by their leader, that they fought like wild cats, and turned the table against the British. So the writer of the Grey Wolf speaks of other such incidents, telling us that this man was to play a role in history. There is no doubt about it, and he knew it. He doesn't speak of God, he doesn't speak of other things, but they speak of history in general terms and say some people are made to play a role in history, and this was the man, Kemal Atatürk. See? So there was Joan of Arc, as rightly pointed by Mustafa Kemal Sahib, Mustafa Sabit Sahib, and this Kemal Atatürk on the side of the Muslims. Please.
لقد سأل الأستاذ مصطفى ثابت وقال أن هنالك بعض الأحداث التاريخية المدونة بأحداث من أحداث كهذه، وذكر جوان آرك حيث أنها ادعت بأنها كانت تسمع بعض الأصوات فذهبت إلى الإمبراطور أو الملك في فرنسا وطلبت منه أن يعينها موكلة لتحارب البريطانيين، وعلى هذا قامت بالانتصار بعد ذلك. فقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين معربا بأن بعض الناس يوكلون من قبل الله سبحانه وتعالى في تحقيق أهداف معينة، وكذلك ليلعبوا دورا هاما في التاريخ، ليس فقط في سماع الأصوات وإنما في إيقان هؤلاء الناس فيما سيحدث في المستقبل. وأعطى مثالا على ذلك حضرة أمير المؤمنين كمال أتاتورك أبو الأتراك، لم يكن رجلا دينيا، وأنه كان معاديا في طبعه للمشايخ المتعصبين، فكان يدعي على أنه كان موكل من قبل الله سبحانه وتعالى في هزم هؤلاء البريطانيين. وقد كتب عالم تاريخي بريطاني كتابا The Grey Wolf، أي الذئب الرمادي، أي عن كمال أتاتورك، وأنه في هذا الكتاب ذكر أنه كان محاطا بالإنجليز على صخرة معينة أو هضبة معينة، وكان محاطا بجميع الإنجليز المعادين له، وذهب ووقف على طرف هذه الصخرة وقال اقتلوني إذا شئتم، فصوبوا نحوه الرصاصات الكثيرة ولم تصبه إلا واحدة التي أصابت ساعة يده. فالأتراك قاتلوا بكل شجاعة ضد البريطانيين في تركيا. فكاتب هذا الكتاب كان موقنا على أن هذا الرجل جاء ليلعب دورا هاما في التاريخ. فهذا رجل ذكر في التاريخ، أي آتاتورك، وكان له الإيقان التام في انتصاره ضد البريطانيين.
Hazur, I know that Hazur has already explained this, but maybe now in the minds of some viewers there will be the question about what is then the difference between those people who hear voices and are destined to do something, and between the prophets who also hear voices and destined to do something else.
The difference is very important. These people cannot lead others to God. Never have they been able to do that. They remain alone with their gifts to themselves. So they are not for the benefit of mankind. The benefit which people draw from them is a different type. They are the sole possessor of those qualities which they cannot share even with the next of kin and the dearest. The prophets come to spread the quality of godliness, and the phenomenon proliferates. Not only one man but others also begin to have communion with God and to show it and to demonstrate it. So this is a science. The other things are just myths and legends. There's a big difference between myth and legend and science. You see, this is the style of the Holy Quran, how it presents Muhammad Rasulullah. Muhammadur Rasulullah, Muhammadur Rasulullah, Walladina Ma'ahu. Immediately, without a break. He's not alone anymore. Muhammadur Rasulullah, Walladina Ma'ahu, Ashidda'u alal kuffari, Ruhama'u bainahum, Tarahum Rukkan Sujjadain. يَبْتَغُونَ فَضْلًا مِنَ اللَّهِ وَرِضْوَانًا. So how suddenly Muhammad Rasulullah is surrounded by Ma'ahum, so many people. And then in Surah Nur, the light which is likened unto God, or the light of God is likened unto Muhammad Rasulullah, and the lamp he carries within his heart and breast. And suddenly, fi buyutin, it is also in the houses, it begins to burn, the flame, in the houses of his companions, Rijal, who remember the name of God and carry it aloft. So what a big difference it is. You will never come across a single incident in the secular history where such people could share their light with others. Right?
لقد قال الأستاذ مصطفى ثابت على أن قد يتساءل بعض المشاهدين ويقولون ما الفرق بين هؤلاء الناس الذين يتلقون بعض هذه الرؤى وبين الأنبياء الذين يتلقون نفس الرؤى ويدعون أنها من الله سبحانه وتعالى. يقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين الفرق هو أن هؤلاء الناس لا يستطيعون الغير أنبياء لا يستطيعون إرشاد الناس إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى، فهذه النعمة تبقى لهم فقط، وبينما الرسول يأتي لإعطاء وتفريق هذه النعم للجميع. وكما ذكر في القرآن الكريم عن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم محمد رسول الله والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم، أي أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ليس وحده وإنما مع جميع أصحابه وأهله، فلا يوجد هنا.
لم يكن وحدا. He did not remain alone. That is what he said. You have mentioned in different slides.
صحاني حضرة أمير
He
المؤمنين
began to multiply like life does.
لقد صحني حضرة أمير المؤمنين وقال أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم لم يبقى وحده وإنما بدأ أتباعه يتزايدون ويهديهم إلى الله سبحانه وتعالى. وكذلك في سورة النور حيث ذكر عن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم أنه يمثل نور الله سبحانه وتعالى فيه مثل نوره كمشكاة فيها مصباح. ويقول حضرة أمير المؤمنين بعد ذكر هذه الآية ذكر في القرآن في بيوت أذن الله أن يذكر أن ترفع ويذكر فيها اسمه، أي أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بدأت أتباعه يتضاعفون وفي تلك البيوت التي أصبح يذكر فيها اسم الله سبحانه وتعالى. فهذا فرق كبير لن تجدون في التاريخ بأكمله مثل هؤلاء الناس البسطاء من غير الأنبياء الذين قاموا بهذه الظاهرة.
See, this is what the scientists speak of, the distinctive mark between quackery and science. The definition of science is this, as against quackery, that science presents repeatable facts in which if you repeat certain things in the conditions, exactly in the conditions which are responsible for the creation of some event in chemistry or physics, then whether you repeat them in England or China or Japan or America, wherever you do it, they will again repeat themselves. You repeat the conditions in which an experiment was carried out, and this experiment will repeat its results exactly, loyally, similar to the one which was shown in the first place. But in quackery, you can't do that. Somebody says, I have the power to heal. They go on claiming, and when they die, the power dies with them. You see? But science does not. It continues to live. And it becomes a repeatable process. So religion is science. It is not myth. There is a big difference between religion and other such claimants of phenomenon like religion.
لقد ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين وقال هنالك فرق بين العلم وبين الادعاءات الذي يقوم بها بعض الناس. فالعلم هو عبارة عن حقائق متكررة، وفي جميع الشروط التي تكون مسؤولة عن في تحقيق بعض الظواهر الفيزيائية أو الكيميائية، فهذا يحدث في كل مكان في نفس الشيء، إن كان في بريطانيا أو في الصين أو في أي مكان آخر. فهذا ليس كمن يدعي بأنه يستطيع شفاء بعض الناس وعند موته تذهب هذه الظاهرة معه. فهذا الفرق بين الاثنين. فالدين هو عبارة عن علم وليس مثل الخرافات. It's not the
خرافات.
It's not
like this individual display of qualities by someone, which he claims he can show, like magicians, like people who claim they can heal others through their spiritual power, so they call the spiritual healers. Now, they have this quality just for themselves. They can't tell you how to have this quality in yourself. It's not multipliable, it's not repeatable. You know, this is.
لقد صححنا حضرة أمير المؤمنين وقال أن هؤلاء الناس لا نستطيع نقول الخرافة، وإنما هؤلاء الناس لهم الجودة والقوة الخاصة في شفاء بعض الناس أو في أنباء بعض الأحداث التي ستحدث في المستقبل، ولكن لا يستطيعون أن يعطوا هذه الصفة أو المواهب لأناس آخرين. فهذا الفرق بين ما يأتي به الفرق بين العلم وبين هذه المواهب التي تمنح خاصة وتختص بأناس معينين.
Hazur, since we are on the subject and the repeatable experiences, the Holy Quran explained how the phenomena of wahi, revelation, will be repeated. And the Holy Quran says, ما كان لبشر أن يكلمه الله إلا وحيا أو من وراء حجاب أو يرسل رسولا فيوحي بإذنه ما يشاء. So there are three ways of communication
With God, yes.
Yes. Would Hazur be kind enough to explain the three?
As far as this phenomena, repetition of the phenomena or a demonstrable truth is concerned, this is mentioned in another verse which says, قُلْ إِنَّمَا أَنَا بَشَرٌ مِثْلُكُمْ يُوحَى إِلَيَّ أَنَّمَا إِلَهُكُمْ إِلَهٌ وَاحِدٌ فَمَنْ كَانَ يَرْجُو لِقَاءَ رَبِّهِ فَلْيَعْمَلْ عَمَلًا صَالِحًا وَلَا يُشْرِكْ بِعِبَادَةِ رَبِّهِ أَحَدًا. See? I do not eliminate you from this. I am a humble man like you. Only God has started speaking to me. If you wish to meet God, you can do the same. Only do that which I have done. Amalan salihum wala yushrik bi ibadati rabbihi ahada. So when this happens, then this phenomenon of wahi, like Mustafa Sabit Sahib has spoken of, takes form of sometimes an angel appearing to deliver a message. And you don't realize it to be an angel at the time of the experience itself. When it is over, then you realize that it was an angel, it was not just an apparition or something, because the style of the angel and the message he delivers is again recognizable, identifiable. In hallucinations, one can see figures, but the messages in hallucinations and the visions in hallucinations are most often fearsome, and they threaten the very person who views them. But the angels bring peace, even when they speak of warnings. It's a very big difference between the two. Like the angels appeared to Hazrat Abraham alayhi salatu wasalam, to Lot, to others. The very appearance of angel was not fearsome, but the message they carried was very fearsome. They predicted the entire wiping out from the face of earth of a people, of a whole people. But they always bring peace. So in the regions where you see angels, there is always peace. Salam is the word they say, and salam is what they carry. But in hallucinations and this psychic phenomenon, there is no such thing as that sense of peace. Then the deliverance of message is definitely from God. They tell you this message is from God. But sometimes pious people also, who do not receive these messages from God, but have become psychics, they also say the same thing. So as far as the difference in this area is concerned, the difference is in fact very obvious. those angels who appear, so-called angels who appear to such people who see visions from their own selves, not from God, is so obviously identifiable, detectable, that when I give you an example, then you'll understand how it can be done. One muallim of one country, I should name it because this name will be then recognized by all of the people, became mentally ill. Now, because he had been delivering messages all around that Muhammad had come and God has revealed him to him. So he started claiming first quietly among the friends, then later on publicly, that he was the Messiah. And God has told him that that Messiah's day is over, but he was all right. He was not false, but his time is finished. Now it is you who is the Messiah. So first he said that God has told me to remain in Bath and your Bath. So please accept me as an Ahmadi who is in your Bath, and also accept me as the Messiah of the time. You see? And then, with the passage of time, more contradictions began to appear. The same God told him, sometimes through angels, sometimes through directly, his God I mean, that leave this Khalifa, he is false, and all the other Ahmadis are false. Then it further developed, and he said, Ahmadiyyat is finished as a valid coin. No more of it. Start your own movement. So he started writing letters to me and inviting me to accept him. So I said, look here, his friends started writing their testimony that this boy is a truthful, honest boy, and we know him for long. It is not in him to concoct things. So the argument you present in favor of Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah and other prophets is, one of the arguments is this, that you look at the lives behind them and you recognize the man as a truthful person. You don't see anything crooked about him in the previous life. So why shouldn't you accept him after he claims that he is from God? So this was the one argument he held very tightly in his hands and started writing to me, and also testimonies of others. Let him translate, then I'll come to the second part.
لقد سأل الأستاذ مصطفى ثابت وقال أن الله سبحانه وتعالى يكلم الناس بثلاثة طرق أو بثلاث طرق مختلفة كما ذكر في القرآن الكريم. وقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين وأن هذه الظاهرة تتكرر فيما بعد. وقال حضرة أمير المؤمنين بالنسبة لتكرر هذه الظاهرة ذكرت في مكان آخر في القرآن الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل إنما أنا بشر مثلكم يوحى إلي أنما إلهكم إله واحد فمن كان يرجو لقاء ربه فليعمل عملا صالحا ولا يشرك بعبادة ربه أحدا. أي أن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول للمؤمنين أنكم تستطيعون أن تصلوا أو أن تحصلوا وينعم الله عليكم بما حصلت عليه أنا بالعمل الصالح وأن لا تشركوا بعبادة ربكم أحدا. فعندما عندما تبلغ أي رسالة عن طريق ملك أو ملاك معين جاء لإبلاغ هذه الرسالة، فقط بعدها تعرفون أنه كان ملكا وليس أثناء تلك الرؤية. ففي الأحلام هي العادية هي أحلام مخيفة بعض الشيء، ولكن الملائكة عندما تأتي بالسلام وبالرغم من إذا كانت هذه الرسالات مخيفة بعض يعني محذرة بعض الشيء. فعندما ترون الملائكة يأتون بسلام كامل، فتستطيعون أن تعرفوا أن مصدر هذه الرسالة هو من الله سبحانه وتعالى. فإن بعض الناس المؤمنين الذين لا يتلقون رسائل بهذه الطريقة يتلقون بطريقة أخرى، ويكون لهم أفكار أخرى أو قوى عقلية أخرى تتعلق بهم. وقد ذكر حضرة أمير المؤمنين أحد المعلمين في دولة معينة أصبح يدعي وقال أنه هو المسيح لهذا الزمان، ولكن تحت المسيح الموعود عليه الصلاة والسلام، أي تحت سيدنا ميرزا غلام أحمد. فقال أن الله سبحانه وتعالى أنبأه على أنه المسيح، ولكن تحت بيعة المسيح الموعود مؤسس الجماعة الإسلامية الأحمدية. فتطور هذا بعد زمن معين، فأن نفس الإله الذي قال له ذلك فيما قبل قال له أن يترك الخلافة، وأن جميع الأحمديين لا يسلكون الطريق الصحيح. فبدأ يكتب إلى حضرة أمير المؤمنين في الانضمام إلى صفوفه أو إلى جماعته. فبدأ بعض أصدقائه يكتبون على أننا نعرف هذا الشخص ونحن نعرف ماضيه، مما حيث كان ذلك مثالا عن الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم، أي لينظروا ماذا كان ماضيه أو قبل إظهاره لإدعائه ونشره بين الناس، فإن ماضيه كان ماض جيد. فهذا هو الشيء الذي يتمسك به هذا المعلم أو هذا الرجل.
Then I started taking him on seriously, and I wanted to fight him on his own ground. So I picked up certain issues gradually, one after the other. I said, look here, when God tells anybody, it's not just the only criterion that the man has to be truthful, that we judge by that criterion him to be true as well in his claims. I mean, there's so many other factors which support the truth from different sides, and it's not just one swallow which can which can announce the coming of spring. One swallow does not make spring. It has to be the flocks of swallows they come. So in case of a prophet, there are so many other supporting signs. Now tell me, I wrote to him, what prophecies, what predictions God has made, what prophecies have been bestowed upon him regarding the future events of the world, even your own things which may happen to you or to me and to others. Now he was caught. So he said ultimately, he was nonplussed, he did no prophecy. He said, I'm going to spread. I said, that's all right, but we'll see that. Any other prophecy relating to others? So he said, you will die within 1 year if you don't do bad of me. And that happened about 5 years ago. So I said, all right, kill me if you can. We'll see. And then I invited him to show me one single miracle of knowledge. I said the prophets always come with miracle of knowledge. And the miracle of knowledge means Hazrat Masih Maud has commented on the Holy Quran and resolved the verses, the meaning of verses which had defied all previous scholars. And he came out with such wonderful explanations as fills the heart and mind and satisfies them both deeply and sinks into your soul. Read his book, his commentary, and bring me one single incident of your commentary of the Holy Quran. So what sort of God it is who loves you and does not teach you the Quran, the meaning of the Quran? You know knowledge. And also Hazrat Masih Maud rectified the misconceptions of the people before him. He corrected their errors and said, this is right, that is wrong, this is right, that is wrong, this is right. Now, first of all, if you want to bring all the Ahmadis to your fold, show me where you were wrong when you believed in Ahmadiyyat. You see? And now, what reasons have you got to change your opinion on doctrines, on beliefs? Can you, for instance, claim now that Hazrat Masih Maud was wrong in believing that Jesus Christ is dead and he died a natural, ordinary death? And the evidence he brought forth was all wrong, so you have to take up this challenge of correcting Ahmadiyyat where you find it to have gone wrong. Show me one instance. He couldn't, because if he left the Ahmadiyya viewpoint and migrated back to the old, the classical viewpoint on that subject, he knew he would be led to a very uncompromising situation. So he didn't answer, not even once. He said, show me. What have you corrected? What we should stop believing in? Should we stop believing that God still reveals himself to people? While other mullahs say no. So if he said yes, then his own prophecy would be finished. So I don't remember exactly how many things I pointed out, but I told him that prophecy is not just a simple case of somebody being true. Somebody being true and consistent is one way of proving somebody's truth. But somebody, despite that, could be mistaken and genuinely mistaken. I've seen past people, go wrong mentally somewhere, and they say these things, and nothing happens. And this was another point which I raised against him. I said, when the true prophets of Allah make a claim that they are from God, the whole society rises against them and tries to destroy them. You are sitting comfortably in peace, surrounded by a few friends of yours, of your own tribe, and your tribe is supporting you. Show me one incident where the world took you seriously. The first Messiah, created a noise and tumult in the entire world. Even in his time, more than 100 years ago, America took notice of that man, that one voice, which was raised from the Qadian, an unknown village. Now, who else has taken notice of you? Who has turned against you? Who is persecuting you and your people? None. So, although they may not say you are mad, their actual attitude to you is proving that they are deeply convinced that you are mad. And mad people are never taken seriously. But the prophets of Allah, although they are dubbed as mad, yet they are taken seriously. Because the enemies know deep within their hearts that they are not mad, we are mad. And if we left them alone, they will conquer. So where is that sign of opposition and hostility towards you? None. So I dismembered him from around, piece by piece, limb for limb. And he was left alone, single-handed, one single person. So I told Ahmadis of that area to forget him. Let him die his own death. Then he started saying things which he started contradicting. Then his friends started leaving him. Then he was dragged to the courts for even fraud, of telling lies and misappropriating other people's money and so on. Also, he had stolen Jamaat's property, Jamaat's things, the books we had given him, not as a gift but as a trust. The literature on different religions, he was only custodian of that literature. We had not gifted. He ran away with it. So I said, what sort of a liar prophet you are? I have never come across a liar prophet who also steals. You see, the difference is so many. So it is not just the apparition of an angel. He said angels appeared to him and did that, this and that. The way they deliver the message, the way they behave themselves. When they speak of some future events, those events come to pass. This is the beauty. And they speak of things which are unheard of before by the people, and yet they happen. In the Holy Quran, there are so many examples of the reference of predictions to the age which we share now, the age of ours. While those things could not be imagined by the entire mankind got together. If all the wise people and the intellectuals of the world had joined their heads to think of the atomic age, they would not. Fiction has its limitations. You can make jumps in the direction of mythology, but that mythology is not a science. It is not a reality which is proved later on. The jumps of the knowledge which is revealed to the prophets is in the direction of the future, and that knowledge takes flight to land or to perch or to alight, I should say, at a time so far removed as 1300 years. And it unfolds itself exactly as predicted. For example, the concept of atomic bomb. Now, how can a man ever claim that he can think of things which do not belong to that era of knowledge? H.G. Wells has written fiction, of course, but his fiction is limited to the era of his knowledge of that time. We have a platform from where we can jump, but if the platform is lowly placed, our jump will be low. If it is higher, then our jump will be still higher. So every age builds its own platform of knowledge, and when new discoveries change the whole complexion of the era, then the platform of knowledge rises. And from that higher platform you can make higher jumps. And from the lower platform you cannot even reach the higher platform. See? So that is a very clear-cut sign of a message being from God or an angel being a true genuine angel. He speaks of things which are unthinkable, unheard of. And the Prophet hears them and he doesn't know what it means. Could not have known unless God specially tells him. Just one example, and you may translate, if there is no time, you may translate after. You see, there is still time, I hope, yes. The Holy Quran spoke of heavenly bodies in perpetual motion. What about the earth? What could the Holy Quran do about earth? If the Holy Quran had said that the earth is also perpetually moving, then the people would have rejected it as a mark of ignorance, not of knowledge. The truth which does not belong to your age looks falsehood. So that is also another reason why people can't predict of another era, because if they predict, people will say he's raving mad. He's talking of sheer nonsense. So if Hazrat Muhammad Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam had been told by Allah that this earth is rotating around itself and also circuiting around the sun and is also in constant motion, who would have believed him? So how to deliver the message for the future age? Because if God had said this earth is fixed, it does not move, like you find in the Bible, then the days of the Quran will be numbered. The moment the new era begins, the Quran will be, buried into the past as a book of old which has no significance for the future age. But this is the beauty of the Quran. Unbelievable how it handles. It says, وَتَرَى الْجِبَالَ تَحْسَبُهَا جَامِدَةً وَهِيَ تَمُرُّ مَرَّ السَّحَابِ. Now, people have wrongfully tried to relate this event to the resurrection and doomsday. Because if this tara is about the future, only then the verse can be understood in consistency. Tara wahya, which means what you see is not the case. Tasabuha jamidatan. You believe, you think it is jamida. Wahya tamurru marra sahab. So this is a contrast, very clear contrast. So it cannot be treated as a future event, because in the future, if it actually happens, God couldn't say tasabuha jamidatam wahya tamurru marra sahab. When it moves, then everybody would say it's moving, and nobody would be alive at that great, earthquake or whatever it is, to see this phenomenon anyway. But look at the construction, it is so beautiful. It delivers only one clear-cut message, that the mountains you see, you think they are stationary. Wahya tamurru marra sahab. Now, some people try to explain this in another way. Say, all right, when you speak of the taral jibala tahsabuha jamidatan, that is one statement. We see them to be. Wahya tamurru marra sahab. One day, they say, they will move the mountains like the moving of the clouds. But why tasab in between? It should say, taral jibala jamidatam wahya tamurru marra sahab. The word tasabuha would not let anybody twist the meaning out of shape. It has fixed the meaning permanently. Nobody can escape this. The simple meaning is, the mountains that you see, you think, you believe they're stationary. Wahya, and is haliya, wow is haliya. While they are constantly moving like the floating of clouds, without a noise, without an effort. If the mountains are moving, how can earth be stationary? See? So the future man, a message is delivered, and the present man, the contemporary man, has not discovered what has happened. It goes over their head. Similarly, the atom bomb. وَيْلٌ لِكُلِّ هُمَزَةٍ لُمَزَةٍ الَّذِي جَمَعَ مَالًا وَعَدَّدَ يَحْسَبُ أَنَّ مَالَهُ أَخْلَدَ كَلَّا لَيُنبَذَنَّ فِي الْحُطَمَةِ. Now, hutama is the smallest particle which can only be seen in the beam of light. When you see a beam of light from entering from one place, one hole in the room, and striking against the wall, you see in the light small particles hanging which are not otherwise visible to naked eye. So the word hutama is one word in Arabic which describes the smallest particle. It doesn't, the word concept of atom was not yet born. Arabs didn't know what atom was. But hutama also sounds like an atom. Because if a French would pronounce it, he would say utama. Atom and hutama are so naggingly close, very interestingly so close to each other. And the meaning exactly is the same. Atom is the smallest particle. In Arabic, there is no other word which can describe a particle smaller than hutama. If you remember, tell me. I have searched the Arab lexicon far and wide. You know, for many years I have been trying to do this. I couldn't find one single word which could speak of a smaller particle than the word hutama speaks. But what would happen to this hutama? This is the point. لَيُنْبَذَنَّ فِي الْحُطَمَةِ وَمَا أَدْرَاكَ مَا الْحُطَمَةُ نَارُ اللَّهِ الْمُوقَدَةُ الَّتِي تَطَّلِعُ عَلَى الْأَفْئِدَةِ إِنَّهَا عَلَيْهِمْ مُؤْصَدَةٌ فِي أَمَدٍ مُمَدَّدَةٍ. What strange hutama that is. Within that hutama there is a fire. It is locked and confined in pillars which are extended. And this fire will leap onto the hearts of people, not on their bodies. What language is this? You see? Fantastic. That is why when I searched for the commentators' view on this, they all bypassed it. They came this way, they went that way, and didn't touch it. The best they could offer was, it has to be a chamber in the hell. What do you mean by a chamber? Hutama is never described in Arabic as a chamber. Hutama is the smallest particle. So, how did you know? Do you know the hadith doesn't say of any hutama? The recipient of this wahi, the wahi doesn't know that hutama is a chamber in hell. The commentators, you know, go on building things. And but why is the fire enclosed in extended pillars? And how that fire will leap onto the hearts and will not burn the bodies? All this is just rubbish and meaningless if you treat the Quran as the word of a man. But if you treat the Quran as a word of God, then you have to be very respectful. You must try to understand the underlying meaning. And this can be explained only in terms of atomic bomb. Because in the smallest particle atom, there is such storehouse of energy. It's unbelievable. You know, the known human fuel, traditional human fuel, can pack so much energy as each atom, each particle contains within it. Only you have to unleash it, release it. And when they prepare the atom bombs, they put it into two different enclosures. Otherwise, together, it will burst. And before the explosion takes place, it is permitted to join these two portions. And when they join, they begin to swell and extend and take a conical shape. And they extend like this and breathe, and then they burst. So this exactly is the description of hutama by the Holy Quran. Narullahil muqadatul lati tattaliu ala al-afida innaha alayhim muswadatun fi amadim mumaddada. And what is the meaning of tattaliu ala al-afida? When I read the history of Hiroshima, what happened there, and I also went to witness it myself, the people were still alive who had suffered from that bomb. It was the phenomenon of the death, the phenomenon of how people died with the influence of the atomic explosion is described as a shock wave which is gamma rays, which travels faster than the heat waves. it is the gamma rays, the shock wave only, which has no heat, which leads the explosion and the aftermath of the explosion, wave after wave. The heat waves follow laterally and behind. When their gamma rays reach men, they arrest their hearts, and immediately heart failure takes place. So when they burn after death. The fire, that explosion, it leaps at their heart directly, bypassing the body. And this can only happen if you understand the atomic phenomenon and the explosion which creates these waves, which are a form of heat, of course, but it is not the heat which kills. It is the shock which reaches the heart and immediately arrests it. One moment you are alive, and the moment the heart stops suddenly because of the shock. You know, when suddenly somebody speaks highly, in a louder tone, you feel something has happened to the heart, you know, it jumps. And you say, oh, you almost killed me. But this atom, Liqa, which is mentioned, it doesn't almost kill, it kills. This is the way, difference is absolutely farther apart than the poles are to each other. So there's so much to it which could be developed further, but there is no time left now. This is one example of the messages which are delivered from on high, from Allah, and the messages which arise out of your own psyche. Okay? So I take leave of you now. You will translate this tomorrow, inshallah, before my arrival. How long will you take? 10 minutes? You give me 10 minutes. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.